Hello, everyone. Today I wanted to talk about the title run and campaign through the heavyweight division that Deontay Wilder took from the time he claimed his heavyweight title in 2015 to 5+ years later here when it ended when Tyson Fury knocked him out. Now, one thing I've noticed with Wilder is that a lot of fans and analyst pundits kind of reflexively refer to his resume and his accomplishments as kind of being some legendary Hall of Fame worthy credentials. And while I want to take a second to acknowledge that winning a world title in the heavyweight division is no easy feat, and defending it 10 plus times and holding that title for 5+ years is commendable and is something to be celebrated for. And by no means do I think Wilder is a bad fighter. He is definitely a top 3 fighter in the division. Privately, I hold my own thoughts about Anthony Joshua and his willingness or lack thereof to hop into the ring with Deontay Wilder, but that's a video for a different time. Now, I just think it's the duty of any real boxing fan that's rational and likes to be unbiased to examine fighters' resume and just say things for what it is. And quite frankly, after some reflecting, I don't think that Wilder's credentials are Hall of Fame worthy or even worthy of being lauded as some great title run. Now let's take a look at, before Wilder won his WBC title, when he fought Bermane Stiverne that night in 2015, main event of a HBO World Championship telecast. That was the coming out party for Wilder, really, for all, boxing fans. But before that, I remember his best win. You could pick and choose. It was either against the very formidable Audley Harrison, who, that was actually sarcasm there. Audley Harrison is regarded by a lot of boxing fans to be one of the biggest jokes in the professional ranks after having a great amateur career, hyped up over there in the UK. He just started getting his ass whooped by everybody. I mean, he was really the original David Price over there in the UK. So it was either that win or Sergey Liakovich, or Liakovich, however you pronounce his last name, a fighter who Wilder beat. His calling card was beating Layman Brewster in 2004, 2005, so 15 years ago. And I'm not trying to be funny or, be an asshole here, but look, these are the 2 wins that really got him this title shot. And before that, he was really just a green prospect that had potential. But he fights Stiverne, beats him, claims a portion of the heavyweight throne, and goes on to defend his title twice against guys named Eric the Drummer Boy Molina, I remember him, and Joan Duhaupas. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but those 2 names probably don't inspire a lot of fear in people because we don't know who those guys are. They should have never been fighting for the heavyweight title. So those are 2 guys right there. And then he fights a guy named Artur Szpilka, who at the time was coming off of a kind of surprise win over Tomas Ademic and was a top 10-ish heavyweight, nothing all that special. Gave Wilder some problems in a tough fight, but whatever. Title defense, Szpilka, I'll give him credit. That was a top 10 opponent at the time. Then he follows it up with a string of title defenses that just put me to shame, man. I mean, in hindsight, he had already defended his title 3 times. He should be hopping in there in the ring with more credible foes. But he fought a guy named Gerald Washington, who is a top 40 to top 50 heavyweight. Chris Arreola, who was a washed-up shell of a fighter who was really never that great to begin with. And then he fought a Bermane Stiverne, an even fatter Bermane Stiverne, who hadn't done shit since their first fight in 2015, and was just knocked out in the first round in one of the biggest farces I've ever seen of a quote-unquote heavyweight world championship match. So there you have it. I mean, that's like 6-7 fights there into his title reign, and you got one fringe top 10 opponent there in Artur Szpilka. Other than that, you got nothing. It's a bare bones resume. Then he finally fights a guy named Luis Ortiz, and I know a lot of guys can go in on here and say Ortiz was a 50-year-old man, he's overrated, he's this and that. Look, I'll give Wilder his props. Ortiz was undefeated. He was entrenched in the top 10 rankings and arguably was a top 5 heavyweight at that time. Wilder fought him. He not only beat him once, he beat him twice. You can say, oh, Ortiz was winning both fights. At the end of the day, it's wins and losses. And Wilder has 2 wins over Luis Ortiz, and I can say, frankly, those are 2 legitimate wins in his title reign over Luis Ortiz. In between those 2 fights, though, were sandwiched the legendary Dominic Breazeale, who really offered up the performance of a lifetime and just came out there with so much confidence and so much energy and ran right into a right hand about 20 seconds into the fight and ended another very memorable title defense in Wilder's reign. So there you have it. Up until he fought Tyson Fury, you have Eric Molina, Duhaupas, Areola, Gerald Washington, Spielka, Ortiz. So, it's 10 fights, right? It's 10 fights that he defended his title as a world champion. And really and honestly, I can only say 2 of those fights, which was against the same guy, was a worthy opponent to challenge for the WBC title. And when you really look at it like that and you break it down, I'm just not sure how people can really claim Wilder is this Hall of Fame legend who's among the best heavyweights to ever live. I mean, you have some of his fans that are saying ridiculous shit that he's up there with Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, George Foreman, Larry Holmes as one of the greatest heavyweights in history. And that just makes me shake my head, man. I'm not sure what these people are doing. They're manipulating their brains to believe this fiction. But quite frankly, you take a deeper look at Wilder's resume, and during his title run, there are 2 fights against the same guy that are credible, that I can say that was a legitimate top heavyweight at the time. Look, Deontay Wilder's still a great fighter, still in the mix. I still think Joshua was scared of him. But let's not pretend like he has a better resume than Fury or even Joshua. I think that title reign was great on paper, but when you look at it a little bit closer, it's not that much.